Hey guys, Cosette
Hi.
here with Bates Reed with Chi Farms CSA. And so I really felt led on a soul level to talk with Bates and the amazing things that he is doing in our community and for our community. And so if you watch my videos, you know that I have a YouTube channel called Cosette Contemplates. On that channel, I like to contemplate things that are important to me, things that impress me and move me. And so if I could caption this, I would probably say Cosette Contemplates Community. Community is so important right now with the things that are going on around us with the pandemic and the other pressures that we're feeling. Community is so important, more important than ever before. And so I wanted to reach out to Bates, who is doing amazing things for our community, and just kind of do an interview of sorts, something fun to kind of highlight what he's doing. So I hope that you enjoy our video, and I hope that you will reach out to Bates with Chi Farms CSA and get on board, support what he's doing, and enjoy what he's doing. All right, so how are you, Bates?
I'm good, and thank you for that. Always is embarrassing to me to receive those amazing and amazing things I'm doing or we're doing, but we do it as a community together.
Yes.
But it's hard to, you're like, no, don't say I'm amazing. It feels like, I don't want ego to take over anything. That's not what this is about. But thank you. That was very kind of you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about how I came across you. Okay, so I'm on Facebook, and I was scrolling through the feed, and I just happened to see an ad pop up, and I saw the Chi Farms CSA, and that you can get a produce box delivered to your home. And so when I saw that, I kind of immediately dove into it. This was around kind of the beginning of the lockdown, when there was a lot of food uncertainty, I guess is a good way to put it. Kind of afraid to go to a restaurant, afraid to go to the grocery store, and I was just really in a place of fear. And so when I saw that there was this possibility to have produce, not just fast food, delivered to my door by people in my own community, I was completely sold. It's such a great service.
It was cool because when we first started this, when I first did it, started about 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'd come back from school. I was working on my master's in divinity at Unity Worldwide Ministries, and I'd come back from school because everything was going online, and then I could finish taking courses online. So I was like, I'd had this experience with community, and the community was right here back in Chattanooga, and I wanted to be back with that community. It was called Community of Chi at that time, and it was potluckers around town, and all these people that had gotten together. Again, a different story, but I wanted to get back to them, to those people that just inspired me more than I've ever been inspired in my life. With this dog being the beginning of that inspiration of changing literally my whole way of doing things. So Chi Farms became Community of Chi. We had Chi House, which was a hostel, and we had another Chi Farms up in Pikeville. That was the first one where I got to garden organically on some really cool land close by. And anyway, so
Nice.
that's where it's kind of started.
Cool. So you talked about kind of like your inspiration, and that was kind of one of my the first things that I felt when I saw your ad, because I saw this lovely box of beautiful produce, these beautiful bell peppers, these tomatoes, but then I also saw that I could add on duck eggs.
Right on. Yeah.
Okay, and so when I contacted you about that, you said, well, do you do a lot of baking? But for me, it wasn't actually about baking, because when I grew up on a farm.
Right.
I think I told you this.
Right. Tell me again.
Yeah. So I grew up on a farm, and we had this huge pond and lots of ducks. And one of my fondest childhood memories was walking around the pond and gathering duck eggs.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
So-
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So,
What a nice fond memory. So when you saw duck eggs,
yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I can get duck eggs. And it's like I
Right.
wasn't even wanting to bake. I was just like, I'm just gonna fry them up and eat them. You know what I
well,
mean?
and it was so good when you came along because where the farm is now at my cousin, it's my cousin Janet, my closest cousin my whole life. Well, we've always stayed in touch, and she and her husband have a gentleman's farm right up the street here. Well, they just sold that, and we're getting ready to move to that. Their farm is moving to 20 acres, and it's cattle ranch, and they got a lot more space for all the animals. And my cousin is one of those that just loves all kinds of animals, rescues them, does all kinds of really cool stuff. But yeah, at first we were like, well, who's going to eat the duck eggs?
Me.
Hey, and we put it out there, and then it was a real slow start to the duck egg, to people wanting duck eggs. And we got a lot of duck eggs, but if you get a whole bunch of people want duck eggs, there's not enough duck eggs to go around.
Yeah.
So we've had enough this season to literally get through our entire season, and there's been a few people like you that are like, I want the duck eggs. And I don't know if they're baking with them or, because they say if you bake with duck eggs, it's just such a thicker consistency of an egg that it just, like even with cornbread, it just kind of takes it to the next level because you're cooking it with a duck egg.
Totally. And just kind of a side note here for everybody who does keto, or if you use almond flour. So one of the main things that I use the duck eggs for is when I make salmon croquettes, salmon patties.
Yeah.
I use almond flour, and sometimes the almond flour doesn't stick together quite as well.
Right.
And so I found that when I use the duck eggs,
Right on.
on point. Let me just tell you.
Really?
That's from a Southern girl.
That's awesome. So salmon patty croquettes use duck eggs.
Use duck eggs.
I love it.
All the way. All the way.
I keep learning, and that's what's really fun about this is I'm learning as much as anybody else when I go. It gets easier when you do it week after week after week.
Yeah.
But it's still not necessarily easy because all the people out there receiving baskets, not all of them, some have a different perception of what those baskets ought to look like.
Right,
If it's an older person, for example, that's been here and they raised stuff on their own farm and they want that, sometimes I can provide it, sometimes we can't.
Yeah.
But I go into the disappointment. Sometimes people get disappointed. It doesn't happen very often, really. It really doesn't. But when they do, I'm like, how can I fix that? How can I fix it to where, and I know the answer is, have your own farm and have, 20 acres of everything you need. But it takes more than you. It takes a community to farm food for another community or for itself. And right now, you have homesteaders out there, and they've got a few acres, and they may have much, and they may be farming. But when you have the experience, when you can have an experience of what real community looks like, and then, whether it's the one here we started in Red Bank, it's called Community of Chi. In fact, that was 5 years ago, but it was one of the most beautiful things ever. But it was a social, intentional community. Now, all those people went out to, like, Daniel Lambert, and those guys went out to the Free Garden Community Project, Sunshine Hampton, doing great things with things in the inner city. And so as we learn what to do in the inner city, we can learn what to do in the country where there's more land.
Yes.
There's just so many ways that we're needing to reach out to community.
Yeah. Community. Yeah.
They all look different. It might be a 1 or 2 person community. It might, for me, I can get it done with 2 people, but it sure is nice to have more people joining in on participating, and I think that's what Chi Farms does.
Right. So that sense of community, that kind of leads me into one of my questions. So the name of the business is Chi Farms CSA, and CSA stands for Community Service Agriculture, right?
Correct.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about Community Service Agriculture. Like, what does that mean?
What does it mean to me? What does it mean to other people?
Yeah.
It started off, I believe, from my understanding years ago, it started off as people buying shares. They called them shares, and they all structured a little differently, but they would buy into those shares and get a certain amount of food from that farm or whoever was providing it every season, and they only sold out so many shares because there was only so much food that could be gathered and grown and moved into the community. So over time, I've had to adapt community service agriculture If I had the definition of it, it would make sense. But there is a great definition I have on the Chi Farms CSA page of what community service agriculture is. I think it's on our website too at chifarms.org.
chifarms.org.
Yeah,
Okay.
and but that community service agriculture to me means when you just look at the words, we put together a cooperative. You know, people that Chelsea make breads all season for us. Jamie, elderberries, elderberry syrup. You know, elderberry syrup is in the autumn. People really like the old
Yes.
town people. They like to take elderberry syrup, a spoonful. You keep it in the fridge, a spoonful every morning or twice a day if you want. But it's got all those really dark antioxidants from those darker elderberries
Right.
that are just so full of antioxidants. So it's really a healthy, sweet treat, I guess you
Yeah.
would say, with elderberry syrup. So we have somebody doing that, and then you know the different farmers I've worked with. You know, I'm always looking for local people who say, "Oh, Bates, this week I've got this over here," and it may be one thing, but I'm happy to buy that from you or trade it for a CSA or whatever you want to do. But to create that community where we can go to, where different people work together to provide the foods that we offer.
Right, right.
You know, right now, a lot of that community service agriculture, right now to feed it, you know, we're feeding anywhere from 25 to 50 families a week and delivering them to their homes. But to do that, it's quite a lot of food.
Sure.
You know, and you can't normally just go to a friend and say, hey, can I have this much of this? And they're going to be like, well, I don't have that much.
Yeah.
So, really pulling together resources, and I've seen some cool little Facebook things come on too recently that started after we did,
Mhm.
that are trying to gather farmers together so that we can gather the foods and get it to your household as locally as we can.
Right.
That we, you know, so that's what community service. It's the community working together to provide, not only in my mind, I lump agriculture into cottage industry products.
Sure.
You know, to me, that is part of the community. That is the cottage industry of who we are, because you can't just eat your whole life green peppers.
Right, right. Yeah. And so that's one thing that I love about Chi Farms is how you do pull together resources. So the food that you get, the items that you get from Chi Farms CSA, these items are coming as locally as possible, as you said.
That's the words I use, you know, because people will say, "Is it organic? Does it have any pesticides?" And I can only promise that on Tuesdays when I know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
So I don't promote the company as all organic or you know, all natural. I can't do that with a good clear conscience.
Sure.
Because I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, in the early parts of the seasons or later part of the seasons when we go, right now it's all fresh. It's coming, you know, I get most of my stuff from Pikeville, which is a farmer there. I've been working with big farmer out there. Best tomatoes in town, if you ask me.
Nice.
And
They are good.
they use less pesticides than anybody else I know of. So that's what I have to go with. Would I like it all to be organic? I'd love it, but what's funny is people say they want these things, but when things show up with spots or blemishes on it,
Mm-hmm.
they don't necessarily want it anymore. Oh, it had a spot in it. It had a hole in it.
Yeah.
You know, because people have, I hate to say it, people have gotten spoiled by the supermarkets that claim to have non-GMO or nothing on the vegetables, or that the feds call it organic when in fact it's not. The labels that we've all been, if you've been around 10, 20 years, 30 years, you've seen how that labeling has all changed. So while people say they want organic and they do their best, I get it. That's what I say. If I could be an organic snob, and I will be when I have the land again next year to do my own farming, I'll get to be an organic snob. My best friends are organic snobs. They want organic foods. I get it. It's the healthiest. There's no pesticides. There's nothing wrong with it. But when you're feeding a lot of people and your community's bigger than a few people,
Right.
you have to reach to where other people get their vegetables,
Right.
so that we can feed our population.
Right. So one thing that I really like too, what you do, and I've seen you talk about this on Facebook, is so when we go to the supermarket, there are who knows how many hands that have been on our food, right? right now that's kind of a big deal. In case you haven't noticed, there's a pandemic. So tell me more about that. I've seen you post something about how you know whose hands have been on this food, and it's a very minimum amount, very clean, and then it comes right to your door.
Yeah. Normally when we purchase, especially certain products at certain times, I know the faces of the people that picked it.
Yeah.
I watched them wash it.
Yeah.
I watched them put it in the box. I took the box. I know that only me and one other person touched that food.
Yeah.
From that point. And our objective is we always wear our masks. We always wear gloves. We always carry our bottle of spray, and even after we've washed it, we keep spraying, just for the common courtesy of making sure you have clean vegetables, that you have the least amount of people touching it. I know I went to the grocery store. Our Food Line down here. I love Food Line. They serve a big community. They're a big part of our community. All of them are. But when you watch people go in and literally touch, they got on their mask, right? They're being cautious. Then they take their hand and they touch everything to see what it feels like. Well, that's what you do with vegetables. We do that for you. I can't tell you, when we miss things like a pepper, you can miss a pepper one afternoon, and you get a soft spot on it. By tomorrow, that's going to be kind of a hole.
Yeah.
And so we want to touch our vegetables for you because we want to make sure it's firm, it's ready for you to eat, and you're not going to get it, and the next day it's going to go bad. It happens sometimes.
Sure.
So, but I feel good about the way we're doing it, as far as just very few hands touching the foods we give out to the community. Keeps me in integrity, keeps me in check. And if it is an issue with a lot of people touching people's foods in the counters in the grocery stores, I think we're just giving a safer way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now the other thing too, though, I've done a lot of research on can Corona be spread through food, and while they have not been able to follow that close enough to know that it can, there have been no reports that COVID has been transferred by food. That's not me saying go out and buy food anywhere. It's just saying, with the way the virus and what we understand about it now, the fewer hands the better, masks better, clean it before you eat it, no matter where you get it from, and do those kind of things. And I think that's a wise way to eat and check out your food.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so tell us some of the things that you guys offer in the produce boxes, and as well as from the cottage industry folks.
Well, we have 5 types of vegetables, and 1 type of fruit.
Okay.
So, and most people order about every other week. Most of the people we order, there's some families, I'd say 20% are families. The other 80% are 1 or 2 people in the household. Usually 2. Actually, I bet there's more than like 30 or 40% families, because there are a lot of kids. Now that I think about it, they just can't come out because of COVID virus, so you don't see them at the doorstep. But there's like this last week, we had green beans, whole beans, came out of Tifton. We had tomatoes coming out of Pikeville right now, because I feel safest about them, unless they're organic, grown from me or someone else, and then I just add them in. And those are organic, but I don't promote that's all organic. You're just getting some organic produce with everything that I can find. Cucumbers, that's a good summer one.
So good.
Squash, zucchini,
Yes.
all local. Those are the type of things. Peppers, I can find some really beautiful peppers sometimes. We have people that grow some really pretty purple and oranges and chocolates and green peppers and all those kind of things. And to me, you just wash those off, peel them, and just eat them. And I'm not really a very good cook. I don't cook hardly at all. But I do like the juice. I like the juice a lot. I've found that I feel really good. It's a natural caffeine stimulant, but it doesn't have caffeine, so it's all natural. It just gets you going. It gets your brain moving.
Sure.
When you juice. And then in juicing, I talk to people. Be careful you don't over sugar your juicing with too many carrots or too many apples, because it'll raise your blood sugars.
Right.
So even eating vegetables, you want to eat as green as possible.
Yeah.
So
sure.
that anything green, I do throw in sometimes. I feel like, well, people have to eat and they need all their vitamins. We don't grow avocados anywhere around here that I'm
Yeah.
aware of. We don't grow mangoes anywhere around here. We don't grow oranges. I haven't done oranges in one of my baskets because I figure people can just go get big buckets of that. But sometimes I'll throw in some of those things because they look good, the price is right to get it out to
Yeah.
you, but and you need the vitamins. But I get some pushback sometimes. Well, by people saying I was disappointed because it wasn't all local. No, it's not, because I'm not. Not only am I trying to be as local as I can, I'm trying to be very conscious about what you're eating from me and that you're getting enough vitamins and other nutrients from the things I bring to your doorstep or that Chi Farms wants to bring to your doorstep.
Yeah.
So I don't overdo those things that aren't local, but I certainly do put them in when I feel like it will benefit the health of people in a community.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it's always like a little bonus when I see something like that.
Right.
I'm like, oh, that's different. That
Right.
looks good. So yeah, I
Right.
really enjoyed that.
And for the people that kind of hurts their feelings, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, and it's just like the
You know.
video you did about the volatility of produce, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, volatility, it's a big one, and we do, I would like to share, I have a we make it right guarantee. And the we make it right guarantee is like if you get something, you're dealing with produce. As we get into winter, we're going year round. But as we get into winter, there's going to be times where I'm having there's going to be more spots. There's going to be more things that appear within a day or two because it's had to been shipped here.
Right.
And once it's shipped, then I've got to go through, find out where it was shipped, blah, 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 purchase it, those kind of things as we get into the winter time. So things change and it's not as good.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just not as good
The
grown in a
seasons
hot
change.
house or in a greenhouse out, whether it be South Georgia or South Carolina or South Alabama, or if you got to go to Arizona. The two places I like to go last, I hate to say it, it's California and Florida.
Well, you
That's-
go where it's good, right?
That's the last place I go to get food, and I don't think I've purchased any. I may have purchased some organic blackberries from California. I think I did in the beginning of the season, but it's not my preference. But yet, you tell me what you like. Tell me what feels good
Yeah,
to you, because
feedback.
then if I get the feedback, then I get a consensus of what people are willing to be acceptable of, then it helps you and it helps me do my job.
Yeah. So if people are interested in getting this wonderful produce box, where can they get this? What are your service areas? Where do you deliver to?
Basically, just to make it easy, you go to chifarms.org. You have to order a CSA box, and then you can add on anything you want, like jams, honeys, the things we were talking about earlier, breads, sauces. We were doing a whole line of foods, but anyway, you go there, and then where we deliver once a week on Wednesdays or Thursdays to wherever you are. Usually, if it's right around Hicks and Red Bank, that's on Monday. We try to get the majority of everything out that first day. And then the second day we go out further, and so we go out on Thursdays. Typically, we go out to Saudi Daisy. We go all the way to Dunlap. Now we go to what's right past Dunlap.
Michael?
No, we don't go that way yet. Not to Pikeville or not to Crossville yet. On out toward Jasper, right in between Whitwell.
Whitwell. Yeah.
Whitwell.
Whitwell.
Got to Whitwell. And and then I make a round and go down through South Pittsburgh, Bridgeport, Alabama, and then back into Chattanooga. So
Okay, so you deliver in all those places.
we deliver in all those places
Wow.
now, and then we have, Hickson, Red Bank, East Ridge, Brainerd's really one of our top markets. I'd say our top markets right now, because it's so close and it's more populated, would be downtown, Red Bank, East Brainerd areas. Hickson, Red
Hickson.
Bank are real
Okay.
popular.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So how can people reach out to you to get an order or look at what all you offer? What are the different ways people can reach out to you?
The first thing I'd like for you to do would be to go to our website, which is chifarms.org, and just load yourself in there so you can begin receiving emails and newsletters and anything else that we're doing. We have another lady who's going to help us do recipes. She just came
Nice.
on board. I've known her for 20-something years. she's living in Costa Rica. And she's like, well, I'd like to do recipes for you because people need recipes. And I'm like, they really do, and that would have been so helpful even this year, but I just couldn't pull all that together. Typing it all up, labels, I don't know. It's a lot when you're out literally farming, you know, and picking up foods and delivering foods. There was no more time. But as these people are showing up to assist, you know, it's just making it beautiful. But the recipes, where was I going?
Your website.
Oh, so we got the website. You can go to the website, chifarms.org. Just go ahead and register yourself if you'd like to begin receiving our newsletters. I need to make that easier, but then again, I'm not a website. I've done websites. Don't have time to
Not a
spend
tech person, you're a farmer.
Right.
Yeah.
At this point in my life, that's the absolute truth. And then the other thing is if you would go to Chi Farms CSA, Chi Farms CSA on Facebook, to our group there, and like that page. If you send me messages, send them there, right underneath the big picture. It says Chi Farms, right where it says message. Just hit that button, and then that'll take you into a place where I can't lose your questions.
Cool.
Because a lot of times people send me stuff on Messenger or on a news feed, and I'm like, oh, I know someone said something, but by the time it gets to delivery, you know, when I'm doing deliveries on Sunday, getting the orders together on Sundays and Mondays, and our team's getting everything together, I'm like, I forgot.
Yeah.
What you said.
Understandable.
And then they're like, well, I told you. I'm like, I know, but you told me in a news feed.
Yeah,
And I was going to bed and I didn't write it down.
Yeah, so
right.
Go to the website, go to the Facebook, Chi Farms CSA, and you also have a YouTube channel, which I'm going to upload on this video as well. So, and that's just Chi Farms CSA. How is it on YouTube?
I don't know if it's Chi Farms or Chi Farms CSA.
Okay.
I use it all the time, but I don't. My phone messes up a lot, so I don't always put stuff there. Usually I just do it to Facebook because my phone will take the Facebook things we do.
Okay.
But thank you for that. I'm really grateful.
Yeah. Grateful to you.
I'd like, you know, because when we first started the project back up, you know, this spring when COVID started, Cosette was one of the first people that got in touch with me and started receiving our baskets and stuff. And just has been so supportive and inspiring to me. And, you know, I need that too. A lot. Just like inspire me too. I want to be inspired. And y'all inspire me. You know, the people that I get to go meet with every other week, y'all become my friends, you know, and hopefully we trust each other enough to be able to say, could you do this or could you do that, or that was terrible last week, what happened? So I can figure it out, you know. But I really do appreciate the people like you that have really stuck by this effort and community. And what we didn't talk about, and I'd just like to reach out real quick with it, is the Chi Feed program we have.
Okay, yes.
So that's
absolutely.
the nonprofit. We are a nonprofit organization, and the way I see it is by being able to do the CSAs and deliver them to you every week, every other week, once every 3 weeks, or once a month. It doesn't matter to me when you do it. You just get in a rotation, and then I call you on Sundays, or we text you and say, hey, this is your confirmation for delivery this coming Wednesday or Thursday. And make sure your bread orders are in by 6. Just those kind of things come on it, and then go to Chi Farms and order now. So that way you can pay for it right online, or we accept payments at the door.
Okay.
For people that aren't tech savvy, or that would like to do it on Venmo, we also do it there too. But I'm just trying to consolidate things, keep them as simple as possible. What else did you want me to ask? Answer?
I can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, it's just thank you all. Thanks for your support this last February to now to August. I'm going to be taking a break.
Yeah.
And I'm taking the last 2 weeks now in August. Things start slowing down a little bit. It's just typical with the farmers markets and everything.
Right.
When you have farmers markets, we have one in town, or a couple in town, thank goodness. Still, but I used to do them 5 days a week, and now it's like I'm just doing the deliveries. That's about all there is to them.
Right.
So anyway, that's what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for what you're doing. I appreciate the sense of community that you are giving us, because this goes so far beyond just a box of food. This is for community, by community, community service, agriculture. Thank you so much, Bates.
And I remember now, the Chi Feed thing, that's what we were getting ready to talk about.
Yes.
Just the Chi Feed thing real quick. So when you purchase a box, for those that can purchase box, it allows us to give those CSA produce boxes to someone in need every week. So that's the real important part of what we're doing, is the why we're doing it, because we are here to serve. Number one, serve you. Number two, serve those that can be served through you. So that's, and that's really nice to be able. So what we tell people is, if you have a family member or you just know someone that's having a hard time and really can't put food on their table,
Yeah.
go to that Chi Farms CSA page, message me, and let me know their address, their telephone number, and their name. And then it'd be nice if you could let them know when the time comes that they'll be receiving a delivery, and if they're not able to get to the door or they're not home, to leave a cooler out, especially in the hot season, with ice in it, so that they can get their produce without it wilting and being yucky.
Right.
So, and the same thing with you. You'll want to keep a container out with a little bit of ice in it, so that if you are gone, if we've got greens that week, whatever
Right.
fruits, don't go bad.
Yeah.
So that cheap food thing is just an important part, and we're wanting to grow that. I can only grow it so much with the revenues that come in, because it's not like we're making a ton of money as a nonprofit in the first place. That's not what the objective is. The objective is to employ people, to create a sustainable business, and then with that sustainable business, ultimately to create communities
Yes.
that have sustainable infrastructure, and to buy land, and to give people a business in different communities, so that they can do those things as we move into changing times in our world, where community is more and more important.
Changing times indeed. And we're going to talk more about that too in some future videos. So stay tuned for that, and
Right on.
follow Chi Farms
Thanks.
CSA. Thank you guys
No,
so
you're good.
much.
Listen.
Thank you for
Have a good
watching
one.
Cosette Contemplates as she contemplates her community. Bye.